Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today was the importance of voting and to encourage everybody who hears this to vote. There was a letter that I received maybe a month or two ago, sent around to many Buddhist teachers, asking us to sign it so that we would encourage people to vote. And I signed it, of course. Now, I know of one Buddhist group where the monastics don't vote because they consider that involvement with politics, and I don't. To me, it's talking about policies and voting for representatives that will work for policies that we agree with. And to me, policies in the government have to do with ethical conduct. Yeah, so it's not a thing of just what I want policies that benefit me, but policies that correspond with what, ethical conduct and with having love and compassion for others, because those are the spiritual values that I hold, and I want to see those things enacted in society. And so, since I myself am not going to be a politician and do that kind of stuff, then I better vote for people who represent my views. Also, what is interesting is there is the Johnson bill, which says that 501c3s cannot, people who have a religious deduction cannot advocate for particular candidates. And Trump he wants to get that repealed, and in the meantime, he's telling people not to reinforce it because he wants his followers who are religious to those leaders to tell their congregations who to vote for. When we asked about this, Church Mutual had, it's an insurance company, and they had a webinar about this. And so, they explained the Johnson law or whatever it is to us. But the guy, who was a lawyer, explicitly encouraged religious groups to speak about policies, and so not to speak about candidates, but to speak about policies. And he said, because your voice of morality needs to be heard in society. So I was very glad he said that, and saw that as religious people, we have a perspective on morality that we would like to offer society. I do not believe in pushing my perspective on other people, but in policies such as the death penalty, separating children and parents, incarcerating families, denying people who have the right to immigrate their status, who have filled out all the forms, who have strong cases, who are not terrorists, still denying them the right to emigrate to this country. So all of those kinds of things, to me, are ethical issues. If we look in the Bodhisattva practice, there's the ethics of benefiting sentient beings, and they all fall under that. And plus, they all fall under abandoning the 10 non-virtues and practicing the 10 virtues. So, for example, in Washington State, we have an initiative, number 1639, that regards firearms. And I think it's good to vote for this, because this bill is asking that the age limit for purchasing firearms be raised to 21, that there are increased background checks, all these kinds of things that are really common sense safety measures. And I think, they're quite important. I just remember not far from here at a store about 45 minutes away that we drive by on the way to go to the dentist. Some months back, a mother was in the store shopping. In her purse, which supposedly had a gun lock, she had a pistol. Her toddler was playing with the purse while she was shopping, took out the gun, and killed his mother accidentally. Now, okay, now she lost her life. A child is growing up without his mother. He might have had siblings too. And that child forever is going to live with the idea that he killed his mother, even though it was an accident and he was a toddler. That's going to haunt him his whole life. Yeah. So to me, safety measures, like requiring that guns are always locked up, this is a health concern, so that accidents with children don't happen, so that people who want to commit suicide, because more people apparently are killed by guns having suicide than homicide, so it makes it harder for people to kill themselves. And then when their upset calms down, they may decide they want to live. So, to me, this isn't politics. This is caring for human life. Yeah. There's another initiative, the one number 1631, that would establish a carbon tax on industries. Now, yes, it omits some of the heavy polluters in our state, but apparently it allows, I don't know how this works, but there's a coal factory in Centralia who has plans to shut down and become a solar plant. It allows that industry to shut down quicker, which would eliminate more carbon pollution. And it also regulates all the other polluters in the state. So, if we care for life and the life of other sentient beings, yes, we want less pollution. We want a carbon tax, which would really force industries to seek other forms of energy that would actually help the economy, because you're producing a whole new field where there's room for innovation and so on. And it would, stop so much carbon pollution. So I'm for that one. There was another one. What was it? Yes, the law enforcement education. Yeah, so learning how to diffuse quarrels and arguments in difficult situations, learning first aid, and requiring them to apply it when somebody is injured in a confrontation with the police. Again, to me, these are just health concerns that are good for everybody. They're good for the person who's shot. They're also good for the police, because if you're a police person, even if you kill somebody and the courts find you innocent, you still have to live the rest of your life with that knowledge that you took a life. Yeah, I think that is difficult to bear. I think that is the source of much of the PTSD in our vets. Yeah, and so again, to do what we can to help the police and to help the victims. I think also the gun initiative would definitely help the police. I can understand why they pull their weapons so readily, even though I don't agree with it, Because if you have an armed citizenry, of course the police are going to be more afraid. And then it leads to these kinds of accidents that happen to blacks and whites and children and adults and all sorts of things that harm everybody, including the police in the country. Okay? So to me, these are all ethical issues and that we need to think about and then vote accordingly. Okay. So I want to say that regarding the carbon tax, the people who are opposing it are the oil companies. So right away, when you know who opposes something, you know what the effect of the initiative is going to be. Likewise, there's the tax on groceries. You know, what it actually means is it's a tax on sodas. It's kind of masked as groceries, I think, but prohibiting local group in local towns and so on, or and counties, from enacting taxes on groceries, which explicitly here refers to sodas. New York has such a tax, and it's been very good, or at least New York City. I don't know if maybe the whole state does, maybe, but at least the city. And it's very good in making children and adults think closer about what they eat, or what they drink, because these sugary drinks are horrible for your health. And there's a huge problem with the obesity of children and, of course, with adults. And if you tax these things, it's a way of helping those people so that they can be healthier. Okay? Of course, who's opposing it? Pepsi, Coke, all those companies that make sodas. So again, you look at who is opposing an initiative, and then that tells you, who's going to benefit and who's going to be harmed by the initiative. So that tax also, I think, is good, And if people really want sodas, they'll pay the tax. And if it makes them think, no, I don't want sodas that badly, then they'll be healthier. So that's good for people. Okay? It's not harming the economy.